Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Inquisition with Chrissie. We're going to kick off with our first female guest of the month. So looking forward to having her on. She is a painter that does a lot of Warhammer stuff. She just did the recent Aaron Blackheart guy, which was pretty cool. So check out her page. Always make sure that you follow Orange Brushes. Just got a fresh delivery from them today. Thanks to the guys for sending out their brushes. And I apologise for being a wee bit late. Just another check my phone for updates. So yeah, let's get this show on the road. Something like this is. What's happening, boy?
Now, I thought I was late. Okay, I am. But you're being late. Oh, that's a rare treat for me.
Well, you've got to sometimes live the Casey life.
Yes. It's not worth it all the time. I wouldn't recommend it.
And there was no stopping you to host it either. You know what I mean? Like, you could have just been firing one in. You know what I mean?
Well, I did that once, and then you told me off because I tried to host it while you had already started hosting it. It kicked you off, and then I started it again. So just let Dunk start it. It's easier.
Anyway, enough of the domestics in front of the children, because we don't want our kids growing up with some sort of trauma from our podcast. You know what I mean? Big up to yourself, Christy. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you guys?
Yeah, can't complain. Just had a nice chicken roast dinner. And me and the wife are having a wee look at staying somewhere in Belfast on Saturday. Friday. Hence why they're a wee bit late. Too busy looking at booking.com instead of the Inquisition.com.
Booking.com is like worse than looking at estate agents' websites if you want to go somewhere, because you just end up trawling it for hours and seeing loads of stuff that you like and loads of stuff you don't, and then just never booking anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep cheerful. That's the way I like it. That's just me. So, Chrissy, thanks very much for joining us tonight. So, we're just going to kick off with the usual first question. What age were you when you first started Warhammer? Who got you into it, and what was the first model that you painted?
Right. Age, I got into Warhammer. I was aware of Warhammer when I was a kid, but like most people, I didn't really kind of pay much attention to it. I kind of knew it existed for many, many years. And yeah, I think it wasn't until I was, mid-30s until I really got into it myself. My other half, my partner Joe, he was the one that got me into kind of Warhammer properly about it. And yeah, about 2017, the end of 2017, actually no, 2018, sorry, and then into like 2019 was when I started taking it really, really seriously. So yeah, got into the whole painting side of it first, then learned to play and things like that. So I kind of came in at the back end of 8th edition, I think it was back then. Loved 8th edition, really liked, was it Kill Team 2? Or whenever Kill Team, it was like whatever iteration Kill Team it was then. That they were both like my games then as well. Played a bit of 9th during the pandemic. And then tried 10th, and unfortunately I've kind of fallen by the wayside. I really do not enjoy 40k anymore at this moment in time. I think there is just so much rules bloat, you know, it just, I kind of just stopped. I abandoned. I haven't, I hand on heart, I have not played 40k for almost a year now.
Oh, wow, okay.
Do you think you'll dip back in when the 11th edition comes out?
Well, we'll see. 10th had its kind of advantages at the beginning. Loved the whole index armies, fantastic, right? Everything seemed balanced, and then like as tradition, everything goes in with the codexes and stuff like that, and rules start getting janky, and it just kind of ruined it for me. And the fact that you could have 3 different documents, 3 different FAQs, and they could all have completely different, you don't know which one is the correct FAQ, and you're just like, oh, for fuck's sake, man, sort it out. So who knows? If 11th edition kind of carries on with the index, or maybe kind of it reduces it. It goes back to simpler times, maybe. But right now, I'm just not enjoying the bigger games at the minute.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. I think the bloat side of it put me off for a long time, and
And the sneaky rules updates, you know, you know about the what was it, the pivot rule? That was cheeky. That was not just oh look, this is the big balanced data slate. No, oh by the way, there is a whole new rule about how you move big models and how they count and how they affect, and you're just like,
yeah.
That's literally the noise I made when I first read that.
I think I've joined a league recently because I've just forced myself to get games in, because otherwise I'm just painting stuff and shoving it in a box and storing it away and not doing anything with it. But the same thing, like you forget 2-3 moves easily a turn, and it can have such a big negative impact on the game. Yeah. I think for the moment I'm quite in a mindset of if I miss one, I miss one, sod it. But
yeah.
At what point does that become when do you start losing the fun with it?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I you know, I'm not in the kind of business of getting rid of any armies that I've got. I will still keep my 40k armies, you know, because at some point, you know, we all know, isn't it? These things come round in cycles. You know, things might come great, and then we'll just see how it goes. And the fact is, I don't want to get myself into that whole spent load of money on 40k or an army, for example, and then flog it for, you know, painted whatever or something like that, and then have that regret like 12 months later and go, oh, do you know what, I wish I kept that army, and then have to then pay you know, again, to kind of buy all those models back up again. So I don't mind having them boxed away, maybe not seeing the light of day, but they're there, you know, when I fancy going back to them, basically.
So, although you're obviously not into the gaming side of thing, you're obviously still massively into the painting side and everything. And how have you found that thing sort of going for you?
Yeah, I think that's been really good. Like, I think at the minute, because I'm not focused on a particular army, it makes it, well, I am and I'm not at the minute. So I've got, you know, I've decided to kind of go, right, let's go into a new game system, new year, new game system. So me and my other half have picked up Old World together.
Okay.
So I've got a Grand Cathay army in the process. But I think I like the fact that the Grand Cathay stuff is so different. But again, it's also kind of, I'm going very much into like my speed painting to get this army sorted. You know, I can go back in and kind of put all the details into it afterwards and stuff like that. But I am also still enjoying painting things with a little bit more detail. You know, I wouldn't call myself a display painter or a golden demon painter or anything like that, but there are just, you know, sometimes I just go, oh, I've got this random, I don't know, this Horus Heresy Praetor. I don't play Horus Heresy, but it's been in my model, like it's been in my kind of model because I thought the model looks cool. Paint it up, put a little bit of effort into it, it goes in the cabinet. I'm quite proud of it. Move on next kind of thing. So but no, that kind of keeps me going. It keeps the momentum going for me and keeps me into the hobby and stuff like that.
Sure. And do you find that as that is the case, it's not just it keeps your momentum, it keeps you into the hobby, but it just offers you a bit more of getting out of the habit of just painting the similar thing, the similar color scheme, you know, because obviously
it does.
You know, we had you on a Chaos show a little while ago, and you mentioned that you're part of the painting thing and the get early release stuff and all of that. But it does it really sort of help you challenge yourself and not just thinking, oh, I've got a Space Marine to do. Is it more like, how can I make this different? How can I make it stand out?
Yeah, I think like being on that program, you know, I get sent pretty much lots of different things. You know, sometimes like it could be a 40k release, it could be an AOS release, it could be a Blood Bowl release and things like that. And I suppose there is that challenge as well, is that how can I paint this to look good, but also know I've only got, you know, I could potentially have a week to paint something or 5 days to paint something to a deadline. And it's kind of like thinking, okay, I could half-arse it. I could just paint the front of the model and not really give a shit about the back, but that's not me. I have never been the person who doesn't paint the back of models. I will paint a model back to front and give the same amount of time and effort into the whole model, and to a whole squad or whatever, regardless of, okay, yeah, Chrissie, you've got 5 days to paint this 5-man squad or whatever or something. And yeah, okay, people might say, well, why are you bothering? Because the back of the mod, nobody's going to see the back of the mod. Nobody's going to give a shit. I'm like, yeah, but I know. I give a shit. It's a little bit like that whole kind of, do you paint the inside of a rhino question, isn't it? Which I can say, if I was going to close it, I probably wouldn't bother. That was it.
That raises a good question, because like I seen there was somebody on, I think it was Reddit, who was building poxwalkers, and there was a tiny wee maggot inside a poxwalker before you put the back on it, and somebody put in Reddit, like, they are painting this, they are not painting. It's one of those things like, if you want to paint it, but it's like it's in a sub-assembly job for something that nobody's going to say that it's sealed in. So like how do you feel about people that only paint the backs of models and not the full model? Do you hate those people with a passion, or do you understand?
I wouldn't say I hate it. I do, like, horses for courses at the end of the day. For me, my personal opinion is I would not do that, because I find that's me being lazy. Okay. But I'm not prepared to call out people and say that, oh, look at you and you're half-arsing a job there. I get it. There are people who probably do this full-time. They do this full-time, or they do content creating full-time. So they've got a lot of stuff that they've got to make. I have a full-time job outside of hobby, so I'm doing a lot of this in my spare time. Okay, I could spend a little bit more time, but and make it a fantastic job. But I'm just thinking, I've got 5 days to paint this. I'm just might as well paint it, because there's no guarantee that after the 5 days, I come back and I go, do I really want to sit there and finish off the back of this cape or the back of this Space Marine or whatever, or something like that? I might as well just go, I'm going to finish it to completion, to something, to a place that I'm happy with, basically.
And so obviously you get sent some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had any backlash from people? Because Instagram can be a toxic place for women in the hobby. So you're getting stuff sent to you. Have you had a lot of backlash from that as well? Not
personally, fortunately, directed at me, but you do get kind of like backhanded comments. I feel like sometimes you get the odd backhanded compliment. I do feel that sometimes people might go, oh, what is the point of this person being sent it, because it's not the fantastic paint job that they're expecting. And I'm just kind of like, throw me a fucking bone here. I spent ages putting hours into my own personal skill in a very short, I find a very short space of time, and getting the recognition from Warhammer. It's not because, I'm constantly posting things, getting their attention. And surely this is kind of like a way of saying thank you. Hey, Chrissie, we really like the fact that you paint fuck ton of Warhammer. This is kind of like, I think this is a great opportunity. We love your painting. Let's get you on as part of the painting program, as part of one of our like community article contributors. And also, I think as well, it's also good to have different levels of skill in community painting. Because there's no point, and no disrespect to anybody else on the painting program, there is no point in having all those like top tier golden demon standard content creating accounts that probably do this like 50 hours a week. They can sit there and paint 50 hours a week, and then you're not having the kind of the mid people or something like that, and people will probably say to me, oh, Chrissie, you're playing yourself down. No, I am a mid-tier painter. I am a mid-tier painter. I don't really I'm never kind of going to say, oh yeah, I'm golden demon quality. I am a mid-tier painter, but I think it's good to see that kind of there's different standards, because we are all hobbyists at the end of the day. Aren't we?
I think I'm going to jump in, Dunk, if you don't mind. I think that's a really good point that you did raise there about, first of all, there should be a broad spectrum of people who paint the stuff getting on it. Whilst I'll obviously always throw my hand up and say I am mediocre at best. I think there's something refreshing in the way that you actually go about how you do it. If I take case in point, Titus came out the other week. Everyone was like, "Oh, thanks for Warhammer sending me this brand new Titus," and you were just straight away like, "Yeah, they sent it to me. Cheers. It's stuck together. I haven't painted it yet. Sorry, I'll get around to it."
Yeah, I literally, like, I didn't. So I have never been one of those that would just sit there, pose with the box, and go. Unless it literally turned up on my door the day before the deadline, then yeah. But I would always at least try and put something out, and I'd just say, look, and you know, as I've kind of alluded, I've had a bit of a rough time, in my personal life and stuff like that as well. So yeah, there has been a couple of deadlines that I've not met, but I've always just kind of wanted to make sure that I got something out there, and I think as well that. I'd like to think that Games Workshop maybe would have probably appreciated me. Okay, yes, they were just grey models of Titus and all the other things, and they've kind of gone. I've just kind of gone. Look, thanks for sending me the box. Unfortunately, I didn't get them done in time. I've got them built. Here's what they look like. Yeah. And I think, and weirdly, I got more praise for that because people were coming around and messaging me and saying, "Oh, actually, it's been really nice to see them built grey." Because then I can see, people are trying to work out how they look together and how they're built together and how they kind of, work it out. And I'm like, do you know what? I never expected that. So yeah, I will continue doing what I do. So
it felt genuine because you do, like you say, you've got your guys out there that they can afford, it's their day job. They sit there for 50 hours a week, paint stuff. You then got what I would say are people like yourself, and friend of the show, Cattle Rabbit Scale Model Studio, who it's your hobby still. It's not a job. It's something you do for relax. You're being recognized by the company that makes this stuff because you're putting all the effort into doing it. And the pair of you, your approach to it is what I would have expected everyone's approach to it to be. But obviously in the scheme of influencers and content creators, you get the people that are worried about any sort of negative press they give out, unless it cuts off their supply, which, I can understand that thought process, but it lacks that genuine connection.
Yeah, it does. And, and there's always that scramble, isn't it, for the 10 a.m., when all the pre-orders go live at 10 a.m., there is always that scramble of, who's going to see your post first.
Yep.
Personally, I don't really give a shit about that. I don't, I did for a bit. I did for a bit at the start because, new thing, it's that kind of like that new shiny thing and stuff like that. Whereas now I'm like, look, I'm not in this hobby to make an industry or be a content, content creator, or anything like that. I just do this in my spare time. I use this platform to kind of showcase what I do. I'm not here to kind of boost my presence. It's great that I have the follow account. I appreciate everybody who follows me, so thank you very much for that, but I'm not here to make a big song and dance of, I'm not that kind of person who would walk into Warhammer World and be like, excuse me, do you know who I am? Treat me like the fucking queen of Warhammer. I'm not at all.
Well, I mean, you can't, because we all know the queen of Warhammer is Ryan, Paint Park Scott. Simple as that. But I mean, how did you get on the painting program? Did you just apply, or did they reach out to you?
I was headhunted, basically. Okay. So, and I've had this question a lot because obviously people go, "Oh, how the hell did you get onto the program and stuff?" Yeah. And honestly, I was asked. They approached me. So they approached me, and that's all I can really say. And that's not me being coy or anything like that. I was genuinely. They asked me. They messaged me. It took a while. I think there was a lot of logistics that was going on, and then eventually I did get onto whatever wave of people that they were signing on and stuff like that as well. But I can't say that is the same experience that other people have had.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
did you think it was a wind up? Somebody was winding you up? Because obviously when anybody reaches out to you, you're thinking, really? Me? No. Why me?
No, I didn't at the time, because the person who reached out to me, I knew them as a member of staff. who worked
right,
at
cool.
Games Workshop. So I was kind of like, okay, this is legit, basically.
And I want to touch back on what Casey said. I think it is. I mean, we could all sit and all admire like some of the top tier painters out there, like Mediocre Hobbies and Peachy and Big D. Not me, but the other Duncan and
the other Big D.
the other Big D. But when you're seeing somebody who has a full-time job, kind of like as Casey was saying, like Cat Rabbit Studios as well, Rob, and the amount of work that you put in, it's like, wow, like they are. I mean, you're doing yourself a disservice, and I'm not going to smoke up your ass, but you are a good painter. Like they wouldn't put people on that are shit painters either.
Yeah, that's why we don't get.
Yeah, that's why we don't get on. Yeah. One, because Casey's in a painting rut, and two, I just throw paint. It's like the Big Lebowski. Like Geraldine attaches me to a swing.
Hey, I've seen your death guard. Your death guard's impressive. Don't know.
I just get a swing shot, and I just like as all fucking getting swung down and just start throwing paint at the models.
Yeah, that's how you paint. Anyone paints death guard though. Just throw the green in and see what sticks.
But it's just so refreshing to see somebody who doesn't have a high follower count, which is a big thing for me as well. Because usually when people get like the 10,000 mark, then they're thinking, "Oh, that's it, I might get hit with Warhammer." But to see somebody that's maybe not at the 10,000 mark is refreshing as well.
No, thank you. No, I appreciate that. I did have a high follow account on another platform, Twitter. But yeah, unfortunately, because of all the shit that happened there, I just decided, nah, fuck that. And I did always have the Instagram kind of running side by side, but I always kind of focused because the hobby community on Twitter was fantastic. It was really, really good. So I didn't really I felt like a little bit of an unknown on the Instagram. I feel it's weird because I feel like there's still a very different, like you had the main hobby community on Twitter, you know, back in like 2020, 2021 and stuff like that. And then obviously as shit hit the fan on Twitter, and people were moving away from Twitter and more onto like Instagram, I felt like I'd kind of come at the back end of the Instagram hype train. So obviously that's why I'm kind of like, I don't have that following more on here, even though I've kind of, a lot of the time I was cross-posting stuff across different platforms. Yeah. And also to a degree, I'm kind of glad I've just stuck to the one platform now. I did have a Blue Sky account. I still do, but I'm tired. I'm tired, man. You know, I cannot be asked cross-posting across multiple platforms. And I'm just like, oh, fuck it. Leave it at Instagram.
Christy, you're a woman in your 60s. Do you know what I mean? You've been doing Warhammer for the last 30 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, you are getting up.
Seriously, Doug, if I'm 60, somebody messaged me today going, how do you look so good? And I turned around and I said, it's vampirism. Yeah. I swear to God, if I look this good, it's genuinely in 20 years' time, I will be well impressed. So
you mentioned that you get into Old World as well. What do you prefer painting, Old World or 40k?
Do you know what? It's really weird, but I don't mind like rimming square bases is so much easier than, I don't know why, in my head, I'm like, rimming a square base seems to be so much more easier than rimming a circular base.
You need to stop saying rimming, by the way. Yeah,
we're going to get cancelled. Stop saying rimming.
Sorry, are you going to get demonetized or something like that? I'm really sorry.
They'll start asking us for money.
Painting a square base, to me, is weirdly easier than painting a round base.
Yeah.
So.
And obviously, because you said rimming so many times, I've put that into a shot and ask what you do at the weekends. Rimming.
Wow, you've just said it yourself. You're just making up for it now.
Just leave me out of it.
No, I think what do you want left out of, Casey?
I'm not saying it. Don't you dare.
The word that Vresh has just posted in the chat.
No, don't you join in the chat as well. Fucking hell. I understand. I get your point though, because not using
of square bases,
not square bases, because the round ones you got to sit there and you're turning. Everything's at right angles. Done. Boom. Yeah.
It's so bizarre, and the great thing is that storing square-based models is so much easier in a really useful box. Like, yes. Oh my goodness! I was just like, I'd ordered a few more really useful boxes for storage yesterday, and I put all my Grand Cafe in there, and I was like, holy shit, this is perfect. This is the satisfaction of seeing them all like I know it's weird. I know it's a bit strange. Whereas like, you know, when you have like a round base and you're trying to put it in, you think, oh, they're not in perfect lines because oh, it's frustrating. But yeah, I don't know.
Even something as silly like the few games of what was Warhammer's Fantasy I played back in the day, you'd have the little regiment tray to stick them in, and it was just, you put in all these little squares in a big square, and you can just push it up the table. You ain't got to go 1, 2, 3, 4.
So I started playing Tyranids at the beginning, you know, with the whole Leviathan release and stuff like that. And moving, 40 gaunts at a time is such a headache. And people go, oh yeah, well you can get movement trays for that. And I'm like, yeah, but sometimes you do have to move an individual model if you go, you know, especially if it's termagants, you've got to put them all into charge range and stuff. And oh my god, what an absolute fucking ball ache that was moving. You know, you'd have like the world's longest movement phase.
Yeah.
There's one big conga line.
It is.
Yeah. But then it got to a point because I think I never actually got round to painting termagants and hormagants. I just went, fuck it, just blobbed. They were just like in a mangled, tangled blob of gaunts. And I just went, there you go, 20 in charge range. Can't be asked, fuck it.
I find that with box walkers, like if I'm got a detachment of box walkers to protect Typhus, that's just.
Here's 60, up you go.
Apart from the one model that I actually spent a bit of time on, who I painted like Corey out of Slipknot.
We all have that in a horde squad, isn't it? You'll be all like, yeah, there's like, you know, 19, just really kind of like just slap them on, dip them in the old army painter dip it, like the dip it thing, and then you come out and then there's this one immaculately like golden demon standard, edge highlighted, like not just dry brushed freaking Poxwalker, and he's always your favorite one, isn't he? He's always the one that, would you bring him back when he gets, you know, when you kill a guardsman or something, and he's like, he's the commissar when I kill him or something with the Poxwalker.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions for Chrissie, or if they want to hear us say women again, then throw it in chat, and I'm sure Casey will say it for you as well.
I'll say we're a family show, so
keep it clean, keep it clean, boys.
Yes. Here's a fun one, right? Obviously, you got into it in the back end, like you say, 8th, 9th edition of 40k, and you and your partner are sort of plotting on with everything that you're doing. When you first started your baby steps into all of this madness, did you ever think that you would be where you are now with it?
Absolutely not at all. I did I liked painting and things like that, and you know, I did go through that whole kind of holy shit, I will never be at this level of painting, you know, when you see the heavy metal painted versions of the models, or you see like the golden demons and stuff like that. But never did I think, back in 2019, 2018, that I would be where I was, you know, in the situation that I'm in now, kind of thing. So yeah.
And as a follow on to that then, looking back at when you started, what is one piece of advice that you would, if you could get in your DeLorean and go back to when you started, what's the one bit of advice you'd give yourself?
Stop comparing yourself. Just keep, you know, don't compare yourself. Don't compete. You only compete with yourself. I know this sounds really, really cliche. You know, don't compete with yourself, and only compete with yourself. Only get, you know, paint every model that you paint is always is a better version of what you painted just previous. But just for God's sake, do not compare yourself to others.
Yeah, I think also like not comparing yourself to yourself in a weird way, because like you say, there's some things that you will do amazing, and then there's others that you do and you're like, oh my god, why does that not look as good as that?
Yeah, definitely.
Which is why I am in. So we do have a.
Yeah, my other half has given me a really good quote, and it's and I think I've got this right. I always get this right. I know it's like hard work beats talent when talent stops.
Yes.
And because don't get me wrong, you know, I am not one of these people that looks at accounts when they go, oh, I've only started painting models since 2025. And it's like this. No, they're fair enough. They've got the talent. There are people, and there will be people that have got a natural talent and that will pick things up dead quick. Right. But there are also, you can't just ride on talent at the end of the day. And there will be somebody who does put in a bit more work, a bit more time, a bit more dedication, and then supersedes the person who just thinks, yeah, I painted models. I only started painting a model 2 years, 18 months ago, and is entering competitions, etc. and things. I've got nothing against those people. Good for them. The reason why I don't. Yeah.
I hate those people. It's like, I've been painting Warhammer for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
this is my first model.
Don't. Yeah.
This is my
they go,
new
okay,
model.
I'm going to enter my first painting competition. I've only been painting for a month. Oh, and by the way, I came up with a gold. Yeah, fair play, mate. Well done. Congratulations. There's no point in being jealous about those people. But I don't do it because weirdly I don't really have the confidence in me, because I always know I'm like, look, there is somebody out there better than me. There is no point in. I can enter a competition. I'll get I'll get the critique, and and a lot of the time that when you do enter proper competitions, you do get some really good critique and some really good feedback. But when it's like your store painting competitions and the store manager enters at the same time, and you just kind of think, come on, man, really?
Stuff blows back up, you're an arsehole. Yeah.
What's been one model that you spent a shit ton of time on and went, this is probably the best work I've done, and it's just not got the reaction that you want, compared to a model where you went, this is shit, and people are going, that's absolutely amazing? Is there anything that stands out?
The work, I don't have that at the minute, but for me, it always pisses me off when the work in progress shot gets more interest and more likes, even though I've posted the finished product like the day after, and people are like, why are you still? And I'm like, I'll get more notifications about liking the whip than I do the finished, and I'm just like, really? Come on, man. Throw me the fucking bone. It's finished. I have shared it. It's finished. It's done. Why are you still liking the goddamn whip that I posted a week ago? Like, why?
You know what? That's interesting you say that, though, because I think Art by Tom Green, who was in chat a little while ago, said something to this effect as well, that it seems to be more of people are more interested in the process than the end result, because so many people do just put the end result online.
Yes.
Which, don't get me wrong, they always look amazing, but it's the caterpillar to butterfly thing, isn't it? You can put a picture of something smeared with a blue base coat that looks like absolute trash, but it gives somebody that might have a little less ability, that has to put that little bit more of hard work in, they can look at that. That's something I can achieve. That's something I can aim towards. And
this is true. Yeah, this is true.
I think as well, and this may sound like a shitty thing to say, but when you're seeing somebody doing a whip, you're seeing it without any filters. Whereas when somebody's finished something, you don't know if they put filters on it and to make it shinier or sharper. Whereas if they're putting up a whip, it's an honest review.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I get that. Yeah, I get that. I get that. So that potentially I agree with that. And you're seeing it without there'll still be a degree where they probably got the right lighting with it and stuff like that. But at least you can see, look, it's being painted. It's not an AI painted model, because apparently that's a thing now. People are just kind of putting models through kind of AI stuff and just saying, look, here's a model I painted using AI. Okay. How does that work?
I remember watching a YouTube video of some guy, I can't remember the guy's name, like it's some big famous painter, and it was a Terminator or a Deathwing Knight or something, and it was looking, I was like, this is shit, man. How is he like a golden demon winner? And then it was just like within 3 strokes, this thing was like Michelangelo's fucking finest. What am I?
It's that. Here's how to draw an owl. Draw 2 circles, and then the next picture, owl. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm going to jump into the chat quick because we do have some questions in there, and we don't like leaving our chat hanging in there because they do Bless them. Some of them are loyal and they do keep coming back to us. I don't know why, but they do, and we love you. So Sons of Reshu is in the chat. He's asked, there is an event on Saturday at Warhammer World. Are you going to be in attendance?
Yes, hoping so. Fingers crossed. All good.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then Jahan, Lord of Cats, has asked the question he always asks, but again, we love him for it. He always asks, do you like cats and would you paint cats?
I am more of a dog person than a cat person, but I do like cats. I just favour dogs over cats. I'm not one of these, cats drool, dogs rule thing. I like all animals, but I do favour dogs over cats. I would paint a cat. Yeah, I think, no, because Griffons are technically, well, it's a bird body on a lion.
Yeah.
Lion.
Bird head on a lion base.
Something like that.
Yeah, but no, I would paint a cat. Yeah.
There you go, Jay.
There you go.
I hadn't forgotten about you, mate. You were there. And I'm expecting Graham to pop up at some point 5 minutes away from the end with his usual one. So it'll happen, dog.
Who's the better painter, you and your partner?
Ooh. Actually, this is a good following. Where that is the case, considering I imagine he's been in a hobby for a while.
He has, yes.
Does he every now and again sit there and resentfully like, oh, you getting free shit and I'm not?
Not really, no, because I think he kind of supports me in it. I think because he's like, look, I'm glad that you're the one that's because you're the one that's put in the time and the effort and things like that, and to that standard and got the recognition. So I'm like, he's kind of supporting me in that. And it's kind of cool because I'll say to him sometimes, I'll be like, oh, getting this sent, we're going to be getting this kind of thing. And he'll be like, and he's actually really helpful because he gives me he'll say, right, paint it this way or paint it like this. And, he has asked me to paint, I have my own armies to paint, but he'll also say to me, I want you to paint my Imperial Fists, or I want you to paint so actually his guard. So he asked me to come up with a color scheme for his Imperial Guard, for his Astra Militarum, Imperial Guard, or whatever it is they're called these days. And I came up with that very kind of almost like Space Wolf colors for the armor, and almost like very light khaki kind of cloth and stuff. I kind of came up with that color scheme, said to him, Joe, what do you think to this? Do you like it? And he's like, yeah, I actually quite like it. I do kind of help him with it, because sometimes he'll be like, I'm struggling with a color scheme. You're the artistic one, come up with a complementary color scheme. I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough. And like, for example, when looking at doing all the chaos, I did all the Slaves to Darkness for him, and I was like, and I just went, I'm going to try something different here. Night Lords, Chaos Warriors. And he went, give it a go and work it out. And that's how I just went, you know what, 40k design or 40k things work on Age of Sigmar. Yeah, absolutely. So that's where and a lot of it, we kind of talk about stuff. A lot of the more kind of custom color schemes is my kind of idea a lot. So I do paint, if I wanted to paint a salamander army, I'd paint a salamander army if I wanted to, and stuff like that. I'll probably put my own flair to it. I'm not going to necessarily go, right, this is the right thing. I think I got to at one point where I said that I was like, right, salamanders, it'd be really cool if all the like Space Marines themselves were classic green, but then I'd be like, right, all the vehicles would be black, because it still kind of fits with the scheme kind of thing. So yeah, there definitely. You go.
It's got to be nice to have that sort of sounding board as well, isn't it? That like you can go to him, he can come to you.
Yeah. And he doesn't do social media, so for him, he's not that bothered. He's not that bothered about it at all, or anything like that. So yeah.
Do you think as well that, because I'm going to assume something here, right? And don't cancel me, right? That because you're a woman and you've been on the planet for 60 plus years, that because you do you've done makeup back in the day, and you were about when makeup was first invented. Do you think that's helped you become a better painter than your partner?
Absolutely fucking not, because I cannot paint faces for shit. I know, do you know what? Funnily enough, because I've started painting a bust, and I was doing it the other day, and I went, oh cool, I can just follow like the contour, like contouring tutorials that you see on Instagram and all over the internet and stuff. And I just was kind of like, holy shit, I never thought I would. And that's honestly the first time that I've actually thought, right, I can apply women's skills to my hobby. You know what I mean? But generally in my I have never thought about I have never thought about the whole, like, how am I going to apply bronzer and makeup and God knows to like women, tiny, I've never got, like bronzer techniques and stuff like that. But yeah, I genuinely
more the colour theory and knowing what colours go with other colours when you're doing your own makeup, obviously.
Not really, no, because like the colour theory thing, it's a running joke with me and my other half. So, and I don't mind talking about it. So yeah, so I'm not fully English. I'm part Chinese, and me and my partner, we've been together for years. But Joe, he's English as well. So, and he knows my family very well. But he's always made this running joke. He's like, the Chinese side of me, we're all into like bright colors and things like that. And sometimes he goes, there are some colors that you wear or you put together that do not work together. But yet somehow when you paint them together, they, you kind of think that's your very Chinese influence. And I went, yeah, but I would never wear that. I'm not a bright color person myself, kind of thing. But being able to kind of show my creativity in my painting and the color theory there, I don't know. Sometimes it'll just be luck. Because Joe says that about me, my partner. He goes, you literally can pick 3 colors and make them work, even if they were if they didn't work, they weren't part of a, I've had art background, but like I don't properly follow it sometimes. But he's literally gone, sometimes he goes, you could put pink, purple and blue together and they're all kind of in that one bit, and he goes, to me, I wouldn't do that, but you've made them work. So sometimes it's just luck, and I just happen to pick the right 3 colors or the complementary colors together, and I just don't think of it sometimes. I have done that thing where I've just gone, right, 3 colors, boom, paint it on the model, make it work.
Or witchcraft.
Yeah, there is that, possibly, maybe, I don't know.
Here's a question, right? This has just popped into my head. So this is going to be a totally random question, right?
Right.
So obviously, the Spanish Inquisition was a lot of people getting burnt at the stake because they were classed as witches, right?
Yeah.
Did that happen in China?
I can't remember. I'd have to think about. There was a lot of burning. Well, to be fair, they did a whole thing, didn't they, where they burnt records in one of the dynasties. One of the emperors made them like burn a load of records. So maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Possibly, because you don't hear like Chinese people or black people, or any other race apart from white people getting burnt at the stake.
It depends what sort of stuff you read and listen to. Because I listened to this weird history podcast, and they had this whole thing about the Boxing Rebellion on it a little while ago, and it was just completely out of nowhere. Because a lot of it is like they talk about modern wars, and all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, let's go back to the 1900s. What the fuck is this madness? And people talking about this guy who believed he could fly, and everyone was like, oh yeah, shit, let's believe in him and kick the Americans and English and everyone else out of China and stuff like that. Which, yeah, it's just madness. History's great fun.
Yeah,
that is
definitely.
What are you currently painting this now?
I just finished my horse dude gate. Is it gatekeeper or gate master? Whichever one of the two. It comes in the Grand Cathay box. So I just painted that, and I posted that a few days ago. I am working on something that I can't reveal just yet. So there is that. But what I find that I try and do at the minute is to kind of keep, if sometimes I will have a secret project that I'm working on, but I also like to have a personal project, because I did find that over the last couple of years, sometimes the releases were coming in pretty thick, and I did struggle to find time to paint my own personal stuff.
Yeah.
So I always find now, I'm like, well, if I'm going to sit down for a few hours an evening and do what I need to do on my deadline work, as I like to call it, I'm going to make sure that I pick up something that's not for a deadline, that's not for me, that I can just pick up, paint, put a bit of paint on whilst I'm waiting for like a wash or a contrast or a speed paint to dry on something else, because then I'm not just sitting there kind of wasting time waiting for something to dry, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
as well. I think I was working on Titus for a little bit as well. I did start painting Captain Titus because I think apparently there's some event at they're doing a March from a Crag painting competition at some point in Warhammer World.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, fuck it, I do it every year. I paint an ultramarine for my sons every year, and because it is what it is, to appease the ultramarine gods up there.
To be fair, you know what? That just amazes me. You don't see many painting competitions on Instagram these days. Either that, I'm following the wrong people.
No, you don't. I think, yeah. A lot of people like this post, will give this away, free comments, share it, and all of that, but no actual. Let's run a paint.
Yeah, you had is it Infernal Brush's Critter Challenge that he did, and then obviously you get is it the miniature paint is it MPO miniature painting open, because they do an online, but they don't do that exclusively on Instagram, do they? They do that's you submit an online picture of your painting, as well as being able to kind of go and go into, I think actually go to MPO. Is it the Fen model? I can't remember where it is, but I know
Fen model show,
yeah, and stuff like that. So, but you don't see a lot of yeah, you're right. I think there was in Instagram way back, maybe in during the COVID times and stuff. But yeah, you're right. There hasn't really been Instagram based painting competition, effectively a little bit kind of or I think you get the odd kind of thing where people kind of go, oh, look, we're going to do was it Olden Demon or something like that, and everybody got an old hammer model and then did it. Or you'd have somebody would say, oh, here's the the RTB01 Marine, find one on eBay for a ridiculous price, and paint all your ever go at painting one of those or something like that.
Yeah, I think Darren Latham did one with the second edition standard Marine a little while ago as well.
Yeah.
So here's a random question for you, right?
Run.
Just to test your knowledge, just mix it up a wee bit.
Oh gosh.
What is the only fruit that is technically a colour that doesn't rhyme with any other word?
What is the only fruit that's a colour that doesn't? It's an orange.
Funny enough, you say orange because we are sponsored by Orange Brushes.
Segway.
Check out Orange Brushes on Instagram. 10% off if you put Inquisition, and if you live in the UK, it's free shipping.
You know what? I have orange brushes. I won them as part of a giveaway, and I sadly haven't used them yet, but I have heard some very good things about orange brushes, so they will definitely go into my rotation of brush use at some point.
Yeah,
there you go. Not even sponsored. That is.
And that's
very smooth, Leroy. We've not done as smooth a transition as when Hitler moved to Argentina during World War II.
We've done a
something Falkland, something. Don't mention.
Pretty much. But now we've warmed you up. We've asked you the easy questions. Now it's time for the tough questions, and I'll hand over to my co-host, Casey.
And this is where I always mess these questions up. But as Duncan said, part of the whole reason of the Inquisition existing is we get to know and promote someone as a painter, someone as a hobbyist, but we are more than what we put online. We all can share pictures of our little plastic toys. Oh, look what I've painted. But behind every painted model, there is a person. So, with that in mind, what is your favourite crisp?
Holy shit. My favourite crisp, if I really had to choose, is the Walker's Sensation Thai Sweet Chili.
Always a solid
that
one.
must go against your Chinese heritage with it being Thai. Do you know what I mean?
No,
that's controversial.
I know, but no, I think if when they say, oh, if you ever wanted a year's supply of crisps, I think those Thai Sweet Chili ones are they would be up there definitely.
They're good ones to have. I think they are a good one as a year supply job, because I don't think you can ever really get bored of them.
No.
If you ask for a year's supply already salted, you might as well go jump off a cliff. That is the worst choice you could have. You gotta have something with a bit of flavour.
Salt and vinegar just hurts after a while. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like a salt and vinegar crisp, but they do hurt. You know, if you literally all you had was salt and vinegar, like I don't know, they do start. You know, it does start to hurt after a while.
Oh yeah, like you can only eat half a tube of Pringles before your face starts looking like typhus.
Yeah, I enjoy that because I'm a bit of a glutton for punishment when it comes to spicy or overly tangy, bizarre food. But that does lead nicely onto our next question, because obviously, when you're munching away on your Thai sweet chili crisp, sometimes after 2 or 3 bags, they've got a bit of a kick. What is your beverage of choice to wash them down with?
Wash them down with? Oh my goodness.
Now, it can be alcoholic or non-alcoholic.
Oh, okay. So I don't have to give like a choice. You know, I have a favourite booze or a favourite like non-alcoholic.
If you want to give both, go for it. But if you'd rather just say the one, we are more than happy.
See, I know I'm not really, because I've done this whole thing where I've kind of given up fizzy pop for the new year since January kind of thing. I know it's been, but if I really had to choose, and Emily, if you are listening to this at any moment, I do love myself a Dr. Pepper Cherry. I know she's not the biggest fan of Dr. Pepper Cherry.
Oh, it's nice. It's nice.
It's beaut. It is absolutely beaut. I'm going to put it out there. I do not understand this monster shit. Sorry. I don't do caffeinate. I don't do like Red Bull. I don't do Monster. I don't do Relentless or whatever or something like that. I did have a bad experience when I was in like my early 20s with it, but I've just not, like, Monster energy drinks do not, you know, they're not my jam. Sorry. So I don't get this whole like white Monster hype and which flavour of Monster.
White Monster tastes like piss. But what is your beverage of choice? Because obviously you didn't give me an answer there, you absolute politician.
Dr. Pepper Cherry.
But you said you want the fizzy pop at the moment, so what would it be now?
Really?
Yeah, really, I'm glad for you.
So, you're going to be so, right, you're going to be so disappointed. It would probably be like, it'd be like dilute Vimto. So, at the minute.
There's nothing wrong with Vimto. What are you talking about?
Vimto's lost its taste though from when I was younger, or I'm getting older.
Probably you're getting older.
I think you're getting older, that's what it is. So
I don't mind. I have got nothing against a squash, because my lad doesn't drink fizzy drinks. He's only 6. And I can't sit there and have a fizzy drink with every bloody meal or in the house, because if they're in the house, I just destroy them and neck them too quick. But we do share a squash.
Yeah.
And it's just a nice alternative, because although, there's a little bit of sugar and a chemical shite in it, you're watering it down a lot more than you're probably watering down the Cokes and stuff. So
yeah, exactly.
What would be your diluting of choice? Because mine's just now, I'm going through an apple and pineapple stage. No, orange and pineapple stage just now. All the Aldi's finest. Other cheap German brands are available.
Dilute of choice. I don't know. So at the minute, I went through a whole berry, you know, like is it cherries and berries and summer fruits for ages, because when you get them whacking great big 4-litre double strength things, they seem to last for like 3 years. Kind of thing. And also, what the hell is the deal with this? Now you get quadruple strength.
That's what this is. This is quadruple strength summer fruits.
You can get, literally, you just have to put like the tiniest drop in, and it's like way too strong. So, but my dilute, I've gone back to orange. I have gone back to I think I'm on an orange at the minute, just a plain orange at the moment now, and I'm really enjoying that. So
when I first moved to Ireland, I was in the pub having wee cheeky alcoholic fizzy lemonade. And it's the only place I've ever seen people do it. I don't know if they do it in England, but they would ask for a vodka and black.
Yeah, vodka black, vodka white, all of that sort of stuff.
Which is just vodka with blackcurrant diluting, just undiluted, straight constant. No, like
you've just reminded me of back in my uni days of the older side black snake bite and black. Yes. I lived off that. I lived off that when I was.
You all come out of the club after a night out looking like the Joker, but not because you've gotten a hold of anything. It's just because you've been drinking snake black.
Blackcurrant, yeah.
And if you added lager to it, it would be called a diesel. Oh, that used to get me.
That's what a snake bite and black is a cider, lager, and blackcurrant. Yeah.
Oh, we would call that diesel. Snake bite to us would just be cider and blackcurrant.
No, we that was just cider and black, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's after once you go past that border, dunk, everything changes.
Yeah, you go to the chosen land where
And
they are better.
and the old turbo shandies as well. Oof.
I used to love a turbo
Wait,
shandy. It's
you'll
disgusting.
remember this because I was trying to explain this because do you remember Mets?
Yes.
No. Oh, that horrible. Oh God, yeah. No, I think maybe no. I think I vaguely remember, but I wasn't like into the whole Met stuff. But I know that now that's doing the rounds again on the old like nostalgia memes, isn't it, and stuff.
Yeah, because you would just torpedo that and that would be your absolute. It's like the prequel to fucking.
I came in
Smirnoff
when I
Ice.
started drinking. It was around about the Aftershocks, apple sours kind of era as they started. You know, when you had Aftershock Blue and Aftershock Red.
Yeah, you'd always get some arsehole who would spike your drink with an aftershock red, thinking they were funny because of the cinnamon in it, and it was just like, oh.
No, see, there was a guy when we had like pub nights out and stuff. There was a bloke. He'd be like, right, when you have a red aftershock, you can't just down it straight away. You got to hold it in your mouth for 30 seconds, let it burn, and then you can. It was just like, what is wrong with you?
Just drink it. Just drink it and get over with. There's like a lot of shots like that. I can't stand the taste of them. But the what was it you just mentioned? Not the aftershock, the other one.
Apple sours.
All the sours stuff was always great. My mate, one of my mates would always order a shot of apple sours or whatever sours was available, and a glass of Coke, mix them together, and then take the piss out of one of my mates and say, "I've named this after your dad," and just start drinking it in front of him. It's like, this is a dirty Barry, this is a sweet Barry, this is. And everyone's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" But the guy used to get wound up by it, so it was always a good laugh.
Amazing.
So when after you've had your manky Dr. Pepper and even worse cherry, I hate cherry drinks. My wife loves Pepsi. My wife loves some Pepsi Max. I've actually stopped drinking fizzy juice. I think I'll have like one can, but it'll last me an entire week, and by the time I drink it, it's like flatter than a flat thing.
Bloody hell.
But once you've had your manky Dr. Pepper, you've had your even more disgusting worthless sensation sweet Thai chili. What do you like to do to relax when you're not painting and missing deadlines?
Honestly, at the minute, I just like I just like kind of chilling at the minute. I've had a lot going on in my personal life at the moment. I've got family members who aren't very well. It's just been at the minute I just want to kind of switch off and not think about stuff. Again, about a couple of years ago, it's probably about 23, 24 now. I really got into watching wrestling again with Joe. Not so much into the WWE stuff. To me, I watched a bit of it and it's just so fucking boring kind of thing. I really got into AEW wrestling at the minute, and I think at the moment I'm literally like following all the shows. So I'm watching it on ITV, so I'm watching all the recordings on ITV. We get the pay-per-views, etc. and stuff like that, so I'm kind of following along. Absolutely love it. Really enjoying it. And then I've started, as we've started watching all the different things, because I really, really enjoy it. I've always really liked it, but I've always really liked the Mexican style, kind of like lucha libre wrestling, stuff like that. So, and it's been great to see and get to know like all the CMLL wrestlers that come over from there and into AEW. And I know that AAA, which is the other wrestling promotion in Mexico, is now kind of in partnership with WWE. So yeah, that's kind of like my big thing. I'm not like, I get it, people say, oh, wrestling's fake and it's all entertainment. Yeah, okay, it's fun. It's still fun though, I get that 90% of all the freaking matches are predetermined, but I still like the build up to it. I still like watching the moves, etc. and stuff like that. And I know it's all, the story.
When anybody says that, you know what you should do? Put them in a sharpshooter and see how fake that shit is, because that is fucking slow.
What, in an actual shot? Yeah, no, actually, put them in like the fucking walls of Jericho, and it'll be like, no, we do it properly.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, how fake is this shit?
Do it properly though, not the Boston Crab version. You've got to keep yourself upright and keep them upright on their neck.
Yeah, literally do it. So you're turning him like you're literally bending his back like 180 degrees, like folding him up. Yeah.
Trying to let him rim himself.
Say that again, sorry?
Let him try and rim himself. That's what I'm trying to do.
I'm going to jump in on this one because I know you've put something about Claudio. I'm going to murder his surname, so I'm not going to say it.
Claudio Castagnoli.
Yes, obviously there is a bit of a crush thing going on there, and that's fine. But the wrestling thing, there does seem to be on here, on Instagram, especially I've seen with a couple of people that, and this is why this segment is great, because although we all post our plastic toys, every now and again, an event or a show or something will come on the telly and you'll get a couple of random people pinging stories up about it. I think he's in one of our group chats, Warhammer Rose. I've talked to him. Yeah. I think while the Royal Rumble was on, I was messaging him about it. And it's nice that even though we're in a weird little niche, there's all these little other niche bubbles that all link off and everyone can find each other and stuff. But with the wrestling especially, I think what we've been on Netflix for a year now with WWE, haven't we?
Yes.
I don't think I have ever gotten so bored of something so quick. Because obviously WWE had this big thing about making it. Well, Vince McMahon fucking ruined it. Let's be honest. It's you're entertainers. You are not professional wrestlers, kind of thing. It's wrestling entertainment and things like that. And the biggest example of the change in a wrestler that I can kind of think of that's really gone for the worst when they went over to that promotion is Mariah May. Yep. So I don't know. So she came over from Stardom, which was a Japanese promotion. She came into AEW. She was absolutely fantastic. She had a fantastic storyline with Tony Storm in AEW. Rightly so. Her dream was to go to WWE. She goes into NXT, which I think is an absolute waste of a talent, because Mariah May is not a green wrestler. She has been I think she was in Stardom for like 5 years, wasn't she, before she went into like AEW and stuff. And she's not the same wrestler. She doesn't have the same kind of grit that she had. She's not the stiff fighter that she was. And people might go, oh, AEW's for the sickos. I like that. I like the fact that there's a little bit of kind of like, when they hit each other and when they slap each other and you get a fucking, street fight and they get in the chairs out and they get in some of those whacks are staged and they're not really hitting them. But the fact that, I always hate it when the thumbtacks come out, but the fact that you can see fucking thumbtacks stuck in that guy's back or wherever or something, it makes it a little bit more real and a little bit more entertaining. Whereas on WWE, they're so fucking terrified of showing somebody being whacked with a metal chair. Oh no, you can't show somebody being suplexed on the outside into the metal stairs and stuff like that. And it was like she just changed, and I don't think she's that great a wrestler anymore, kind of thing. And same, there's a few others that have kind of, I know that we talk about Malachi Black or Aleister Black or whatever he's called now these days and stuff like that. Went back to SmackDown. He's been barely fucking used.
Yeah, I think we had the golden time at WWE when it was called WWF back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, when you had like the big matches like Shawn Michaels versus Bret the Hitman Hart, and basically Shawn Michaels,
Edge and Christian back in the day, Edge and Christian back in the day as well.
When like Bret the Hitman Hart was screwed over by Vince McMahon.
The Montreal screw job. I was watching that. That have any of you watched that? Is it Dark Side of the Ring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not watching now on Netflix that documentary on America's Next Top Model.
Oh, is that? I've been seeing. Yeah, there's all the whole kind of everything's all coming out from the behind the scenes. Yeah. So, but no. Unfortunately, the last Dark Side of the Ring program I watched was about Chris Benoit. So I was like, Joe told, because Joe's a lot more into like his wrestling and stuff like that, and he obviously gave me the heads up about what Chris Benoit did, and I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, you know, and you watch it and you're like, oh shit.
But even if you watch, like, I know your man John Oliver, who does Last Week Tonight, did a thing on wrestling, and they had an interview. They showed you a clip of Roddy Piper, I want to say Roddy Piper from the fucking Simpsons, but fuck, you know, but he said in a press clipping that he'll be lucky if he survives, if he'll live to 60 with the amount of injuries that he had, and he died before he was 60. He never made his retirement because of all the injuries that all these wrestlers got back, and getting smacked in the head for chairs, being thrown off like King of the Cage and all that nonsense. But yeah, like once they started in a Saturday morning on Sky One, cutting away from the person getting smashed in the head with a chair.
I noticed that. Okay. You just kind of like, really, you know, I know it was because, you know, it was that whole thing, wasn't it? Kids were, you know, impersonating, doing the moves and stuff like that. And things like, and you just kind of think, okay, you just kind of tone it, you know, you've toned it down way too far now.
Yeah.
We all know it happens. We all know it happens. You know, we all know you do, you know, wrestlers do stupid shit and stuff like that. But it just seemed like it's all the pomp. To me, WWE is all about the status and the pomp. Whereas, okay, yes, in AEW there are loads of ex-WWE, you know, there are ex-WWE wrestlers, old and new. But I think they just seemed, it's just a different kettle of fish. But I'm not saying, you know, I'm anti-WWE or anything like that, because that's a whole thing that really pisses me off when everyone's all like, AEW's all shit. It's just like, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? It's like, yes, okay, you have all the big names and you've got all the big salaries and stuff. But yeah, you are just, I don't want to go and pay, or I wouldn't want to pay, you know, on a pay-per-view or whatever, or something like that, to watch you cut a promo for 25 minutes, two blokes in a freaking ring in suits, just giving shit to each other for 25 minutes. Might as well just fucking make it 25 minutes as a brawl, as a fight. That's what you pay to see. You don't want to just see, you know, you don't want to sit there and watch two guys like throw insults at each other for 25 minutes for nothing.
Making it that more storyline based and everything is promo, I think really robs from appreciation of the raw actual art form of it. And there was, I think a couple of years ago, I think pre-COVID, me and my mates would always go to this weird little skivvy railway arch in Bethnal Green to watch this mad thing called Lucha Britannia, which were just these, it was just like this real underground piss take thing, but they really put on good matches. You could have a laugh and a joke. They'd bring this weird act out, like they'd have this like comedy act come out for just like a bit of a laugh for 10-20 minutes to break the show up with. And we would enjoy that more than all sitting down and watching the Royal Rumble. But also, because it was in the wrestling, it was in like this railway arch, it had a licensed bar, and in the summer it was the worst event and the best event I've ever been to, because I think I sweated my entire body weight out, but then drunk it in beer. I have never gone from sober to drunk to hungover so quickly in one session. But it's those silly little things where you appreciate, you get to see the actual art form more than, oh look, here come Jay and Jimmy Uso and they're going to do 20 minutes of just standing there doing that.
Yeah, that's just like, really, you know, gimmicks like that are really kind of I mean, we had it, you know, everybody loved it with the whole, you know, DX way back in the day, wasn't it, with the whole like, you know, suck it stuff. But it's
the D-Generation X. But for me, I lost interest in wrestling when they made Rey Mysterio take off his mask.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because that's a big thing for Mexican wrestlers. Like that whole, like, when they made them take it, like that's too far. Like,
well, that was, you know, that's again, that's Vince McMahon for you, isn't it? At the end of the day, so absolutely no respect for anything else other than if it was like All American, whatever, or something like that.
I'll tell you what, for that was, right? I'll tell you one thing that stood out for me there with him was when Asuka joined the WWA. She'd come off that amazing run in Japan, everything else she'd done, never lost the match. But then they put her up against Charlotte Flair in WrestleMania, and I looked at her as that, she's losing that. Just straight away, she's losing it. I can tell you and I said to my mates, I was like, I'm willing to put money on it, and I can tell you the first thing she'll say, because he's got no idea how to write a script, and it will be, "Hi, you beat me, congratulations, done." And that's exactly what was said, and it's like, fucking waste man. Ugh.
Nepotism. It's nepotism. Well, one, it's nepotism, isn't it? Because it's Ric Flair's work, yeah. And can I just say as well, I know that Andrade said it's nothing to do with Charlotte. She got him kicked off WWE. I genuinely think, though. I genuinely think that. But
Yes.
he was wasted in WWE. He's back now in AEW. So
It's a better place.
it is. I agree.
So I'm just going to bring it back to plastic crack because you've lost me with all this Ric Flair nonsense. So I'm going to ask a controversial question. That's probably a question that I'll regret asking. What do you think of the new Defiler model that's coming out?
Ooh.
Do I think of the new Defiler model? I like it. I think it looks. It's definitely the old model looked tired. It looked like a big weird it reminded me. It was starting to look like the weird baby from Toy Story, the crab baby from Toy Story. So.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? We should just get one and stick a doll's head on it. That'd be cool. The Great Emperor's Children model. There you go.
But no, I think given the upgrades that the things come out, I just think that it needed that upgrade. It needed that kind of that glow up kind of thing. And I like it. I like it. I don't, I don't collect Heretic Astartes or Chaos Space Marines, whatever they call them, but I think it fits and I think it suits, and I like the fact that it has a little bit more fleshiness to it, I guess. I know it's a very kind of Marmite. I feel like at the minute it's a very Marmite model, but I think it does. I'm not too keen on the Death Guard variant head because I think it just looks a bit kind of samey. I wish it had effectively like a fat Nurgle demon head, because it still kind of plays into the Death Guard stuff. Otherwise, it's just basically a big Plague Marine helmet, isn't it? Let's be frankly honest. But no, I do like it. I do like the new. I do like it. I never got around to buying an old Defiler, but no, I do like the glow up. I think it was a well-needed glow up. If I'm looking.
Well, your opinion's wrong, and that's all I'm going to say in that.
It's all right.
No, I
Everyone's
agree.
entitled to their own opinion. So.
See, I do agree it needed refreshing because it is just an old metal crab. Let's face it, there's no other way of sort of describing it. Sorry, Dunk, I know this is hurting your feelings. But personally, for me, I think with some of the stuff that they did when they upgraded a lot of the Chaos models, they made them too fleshy. I will always say I think that the Chaos Hellbrute Dreadnought is stupid because it just looks like here's a map of muscles on a robot. Yeah, it doesn't need all of the muscles on it and stuff. I'm just maybe this is just me and showing my age that I prefer my Dreadnoughts to be just big boxes on legs.
Well, let's be honest. If a Hellbrute is the Chaos equivalent of a Dreadnought, it should just still be a walking sarcophagus, shouldn't it?
Yeah, what happened to the Heresy Dreadnoughts that were kicking about that decided to be bad or be good?
I think that would be a much better. If you got a Contemptor Dreadnought from the Heresy, like one of like a Heresy Death Guard Contemptor Dreadnought, and then maybe flesh that out. Or is that that's a Leviathan, isn't it? Yeah, maybe that's pretty cool actually. That to me would be a much better Hellbrute variant and a much more thematic Hellbrute variant for Death Guard, for the main, if you want to call them the core Chaos God aligned armies, than making it like a weird kind of flesh bit, like box with flesh ligaments.
Then you could do upgrade boxes where you could maybe have like Nurgle tentacles coming out and coming from the armor. I like the Defiler. I think for the Defiler, I like the crab body. It reminds me of Quinalag from Dark Souls. I think it's the boss you have to ring the bell to get down below. Yeah. But you could have for me, like for Swinesh, you could have like a slave body on top of that, and that would work with the Swinesh. And as you said, with a Nurgle, you could have like a lesser demon trapped in that, like where you kind of like Rotigus or
See, for Slanesh, right, the best one I've seen, I can't remember the guy's YouTube account, that he did a Defiler, and he also did, I think it was a Land Raider or another tank, I want to say. And what he did to him was the weapons, they were sonic weapons, but essentially he installed Bluetooth speakers into them. So he would just have them walking around playing songs, which looked amazing.
There was
Like,
somebody at Warhammer World that had I remember a few years back, and he had an Emperor's Children army, and he had a Helldrake with a Bluetooth speaker built into it.
it might be that guy.
Yeah, it could have been the same. It might have been the same guy.
Yeah.
Just remember, where's this tinny music coming from? It was coming from behind me, and there's this fucking like Helldrake on the board with like Bluetooth, like two sets of like effectively like Bluetooth speakers hanging out the bottom of it. I thought it was a pretty.
The kids can play their music on the bus. We can play our music during games. Fuck it.
yeah, and all that Helldrake's playing is Louis Lewis French Kiss from 1987. That's all it's playing.
Yeah.
Because that would just be a Swinesh anthem, really, if you look at the 12-inch
Anything but Prince as he's playing his game.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I tell you what, here's a question that we always ask when we get into the tail end segments. Obviously, I asked you a little while ago about what advice you'd give yourself to when you started off. Mm-hmm. Looking at what you're painting and how you paint now to how you painted when you started, is there anything that you would like to go back over from your original early days and think, I'll have another stab at that?
I kind of did that already. I did that already a while back, where I'd got the, when they redid the Sisters, when they did the plastic Sisters of Battle, when they refreshed the Sisters of Battle range, I think was it 2020, 2019. So I'd got the, when they did the first one, was it? I can't remember. She's like standing, she's a Sister Superior or something, and she's on like a little plinth. Is it Malia, what's her face or something like that?
Yeah, Sister Superior something or something like that.
Yeah. And I painted her first, in very early days in my painting. And I admit she was a contrast kind of job. I wasn't particularly proud of. I thought, yeah, I've done it, painted it, fantastic, put it to one side. And then I think this probably was about 3 years later, I went, you know what, I've progressed. I want to paint her in a different scheme. And I did actually do a side by side. And it was nice to kind of see, it was nice to kind of see the progression, because I always had that doubt, thinking to myself, going, I don't really feel like I've progressed, I've done and all this stuff. And then I saw the two models together. I'd actually taken a picture of them side by side together, and I was like, this is cool. I can actually see the progression now. And so I was really
dogs getting involved. At least once a show, dogs have got to get involved somehow. Usually it's something disgusting.
Big idiot, man.
Hello, baby.
Hello.
It's basically like having another child, isn't it? Look at it.
Oh, so lovely. Oh, look at that face. Oh,
we had her out on Sunday, and I think she ripped a bit of her paw, or pad in her paw. And up until this morning, she was feeling sorry. I thought we had broken our spaniel.
Oh, baby!
But she's back to full-fledged annoying the German Shepherd today, so we're back to full fitness.
But she doesn't look like she would annoy anybody. Look at that face.
The butter wouldn't melt face.
Yeah, look at that face. Look at her. She wouldn't do anything naughty.
These toddlers, they know what they're doing.
Well, she was eating poo about 4 hours ago, so she's not looking in my face.
No, well, okay, ruin. She's like, I don't eat shit, Dad. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. But she has to come up and say hello, and then she's away to annoy the German Shepherd.
Oh, I love that. It's like when I have Teams meetings, and I'm just kind of like, I can see an animal, or I can hear an animal coming. It's like you hear, it's like, oh, I can hear like the pitter patter, like, yeah, my dog's coming here. The best one I had it like, I'm really sorry if you can hear snoring noises. It's not me, it's my dog in the background. And it was like full on snoring.
Here's a question for you, because you were a wee bit later coming into the Warhammer scene, like, What do your work colleagues or your friends think about it? Or do you have friends or work colleagues?
Wow, harsh.
It's the team's called, don't.
Yeah, to be fair, I went through a whole phase where I was trying to keep my work and my hobby separate. You know, I don't, I don't very rarely don't like mingling, and it got to a point where I was just like, you know what, I really don't care. I'm not like a massive whole like I'm proud to be a Warhammer nerd in my job or anything like that, but I also kind of don't want the whole thing where people kind of go, oh, because to me, I'm like, that's my hobby. That's outside of work. Let's keep, it's that very whole thing where I want to keep my private outside work life private and things. Yeah. But, eventually when I get to know people, I will kind of let out things like, oh, I've done Warhammer, but I won't make a big song and dance about it. It doesn't really bother me. But yeah, but with regards to kind of friends, they're not fussed about. I think a lot of my friends that I've got are also into kind of like the nerd side of things. I mean, we all like different things. If it's things like D&D, the kind of the whole anime scene, Star Wars, whatever. Pardon me, whatever or anything like that. We all have our own niches.
Yeah.
I know that like Joe's friends, they all play Warhammer as well. So it just means that it's like, hey, great, we've got more people to play Warhammer with in our little friendship group and stuff like that. We did at the time. So yeah, it's not really been like a massive thing. And same with like family members as well. They, they're kind of like, oh, we don't understand it, but we appreciate it. It looks cool what you paint. Go, good on you, kind of thing. And yeah. I don't mind. I don't expect people to understand it, but I don't, as long as they're not sitting there kind of thinking, what the fuck are you doing, sitting there painting tiny models, then that's fine with me. But if they think that behind the scenes, then that's their problem.
Yeah, 100%.
Fair enough indeed.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I'll follow on from that. And this is one that we usually ask when we know there is you're part of a couple and one of you maybe one, the other one doesn't, or you both do it. When did Joe first show you his Warhammer collection? Was it hidden away when you first started going out, or was it just there and it was like, oh, by the way, this is the thing, and you take me or leave me with it?
No, it was never an ultimatum or you take me or leave me thing, because I've always been a bit of a nerd before I was into Warhammer anyway. We're both into like massively into Star Wars and stuff like that. And I knew he had like Warhammer books, and I know he'd read a lot of Warhammer books and stuff, so that didn't bother me at all. And then I think he went through that whole thing of, like with most people, they had a Warhammer collection when they were younger. It then got sold off for many years, and then there was a big gap where nothing happened, and then all of a sudden, like, he's like, hey, look, I've got a job now, I'm an adult, I've moved out, I've moved in with my missus, I'm going to treat myself to a little bit. And I never looked down, I've never looked down at it, because like, my dad did scale model building and stuff like that as well, so I've always been around that kind of hobby.
Yeah. So
it's never been kind of like a, oh, what the fuck are you doing kind of thing. I've always it's always been there for me. Do you know what I mean? And it's, I wouldn't necessarily say I had an interest in it at the time. I've never really been into the historical side of gaming. Although, Joe, you said, look, have a go at playing Bolt. And I went, yeah, okay, I'll play Bolt Action with you. I'll do it. It's fun. I like the rules. They're a lot more cleaner than like, 40k rules or Warhammer rules in general. But I'm not going to sit there and think I'm going to need a whole, historical army at all or anything like that. But sure. Yeah.
And what does Joe prefer doing? Does he prefer rim square bases or circular bases?
Well, I think to be honest, well, he's currently painting dwarves at the minute, so I think he's all about that square base at the moment.
Short square bases.
Well avoided. I know.
Is there any model that you haven't painted yet that you would like to paint? Is there anything that you see as that's your Everest?
I don't want to say Everest, because every model could be an Everest. Otherwise, I've never because otherwise, if you start thinking of a model as your Everest, it'll just put an unnecessary fear into you, and then you kind of think, I don't want to put paint to that model, where you just kind of go, oh, fuck it. You just need. I had that with Mortarion. at first. I really wanted to paint Mortarion, and I got so nervous when I sat there and thought, holy shit, here we go. Yeah, exactly. But I kind of very much got myself out of that mentality. So for me, I think a model that I really want to paint, it's not necessarily a solid, there's not like I've got this one whole model that I really want to paint, because that can change depending on how I'm feeling, you know, because sometimes it would just be like, yes, I really, like at the minute, I could say I really want to paint, is it Miao Ying, the big Chinese dragon lady from Grand Cafe? I haven't got her yet. I really want to paint her, but I wouldn't call her my Everest kind of thing. She's not going to, I've kind of got myself out of that feeling of going, right, if I've painted this model, this is it, this is my Everest. I'm going to stop painting, because I don't want to see my hobby like that at all.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it, because we do get so many guests on here who do have a standpoint that there's one that they really would love to but are scared of. I've always said it, Magnus the Red for me is something I would love to have a crack on, but because, as I mentioned earlier, I class myself borderline mediocre, it always feels like it might be a bit of a push too far. But in that, if you're saying in theory any model could be an Everest model, maybe you're right. Maybe we shouldn't limit ourselves. The sky is the limit, and why not just fuck it, have a go?
If you put yourself, I mean, it's that thing, isn't it? I mean, fair play. I have the utmost respect for people that can kind of go, you know, I'm just throwing paint on models, and I'm putting, you know, and I've got absolutely no fear. And yet there are going to be models that make me nervous, shall we say. But I think about it and I just kind of think, well, you know, just have a go at it. Do your best on it. That's all you can do. And worst case scenario, paint is paint at the end of the day. If it doesn't work or something, you know, you can either paint over it, you know, rebase it, paint over it, or pop it in a vat of Biostrip and just start all over again.
Yes.
I've never, you know, I'm still very much I don't do stripping models and repainting them. I will always just kind of go, if a model doesn't work, I will just spray over it black or wherever or something and just try again kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, paint is paint, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
like I did that with Typhus because, like, for me, Typhus was my Everest for a long time. Like, I was intimidated because you're spending money and you're spending money on a model, and you don't want to ruin it. And then when I did them, I thought, oh, that's probably the best model I've painted. I think at that point it was. And then I was humming and hawing, like, I was speaking to Casey, like, last year I was on, like, speaking to Casey, and I was humming and hawing about redoing a lot of my old Death Guard with the new scheme that I've got. And I was so intimidated by stripping them down in case it didn't work. But then when it did work, I've noticed that it's a lot better than what it was. And I think you're right, like, if you do, like, that's why now, I hope Gavin doesn't see this before Thursday because I'm playing him tomorrow. But that's why I started doing Mortarion, because I bought him. Well, I got him for Christmas, so I might as well start painting him. So I'm going to take him with me.
Because I think that also as well, it's like, you know, if you kind of think, oh, I bought this model, and let's be honest, you know, it doesn't matter if you buy them third party or direct from Games Workshop, they are not cheap models. And if you kind of go think to yourself, going, why have you bought Mortarion? And you're like, I'm too scared to paint him. It's like, well, why the fucking hell have you spent like the 90 odd quid or whatever, you know, for him? It's sat in a box where, you know, you might as well just get him built, sprayed, fucking paint the damn thing, you know, get your money's worth out of it. Suppose if I really had to give you like the non-politician's answer, I think I always had that with the, you know, the Horus Heresy Primarchs, you know, the actual, so they always were a little bit of an Everest for me. I mean, I do have one. I've got Vulcan sat in a box still at the minute. That was kind of, we bought those years ago. And I haven't painted him yet. And I thought to myself going, yeah, I've seen all the fucking like details on him and things like that. But like now, like before when I bought him, I kind of thought, yeah, shit, I'm never going to be good enough to paint him or whatever, give him the paint job that it so well, you know, that sculpt so well deserves. But then I think to myself now, I'm kind of thinking, I'd love to paint him, but I just don't have the time. I don't want it to be a situation where I start it and then have to put him down for a couple of months and then he's just looking at me like, oh, for fuck's sake, just, you know, I don't want to paint. I don't want to kind of not rage paint it, but like I don't want to kind of sit there and paint it. Oh, for God's sake, I'm sick and tired of looking at this model sat in front of me at my desk. I just need to put some paint on it, kind of thing. So I want to be able to enjoy painting it rather than feel like I'm painting it just to kind of get it out the way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And what type of painter would you be? Would you be a sub-assembly in paint, or would you just be build it and paint it?
Yeah, I'm very much, and I've just thought that when I built Titus, I very much are thinking, shit, maybe I should have left a couple of bits off. But I am very much I will paint model. I will try, if I want to put a bit more time into it and I have got the time, I will sub-assemble, but I'll probably only do it in like I'll probably do like 3 big bits, for example. I won't try and do like, every single arm, his head, his body, his cape or anything. That is not enjoyable to me. I would rather paint the whole thing if I can. If I can, and it's easy accessible, then I will just paint it all in one go, for example.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think when I did Mortarion, I think I ended up doing, I left the wings off separately, but everything else was built. So
yeah, what I'm planning on doing is I'm doing the cape this now. So once I do the cape, then I'll attach the arms, and then when I'll do the wash, then I can pick the bits of the cape. But I just want to make sure that I don't have obvious things sitting out. So once I do the cape, I'm going to attach the arms in. What would you be, Casey? Would you be a sub-assembly, or would you just be a stick it together and paint?
I am sub-assembly, but that is because I think 90% of what I own and have painted is Space Marines. So 70% of them have all got things across their chests. So I remember when I first got into this as like a 13-year-old who didn't know what I was doing, stick it all together, and if I'm a bad painter, if I'm mediocre now, I was the typical 13-year-old painter then. And you'd look at the mini, you'd be like, how do I get my paintbrush in there?
Sometimes you just have to kind of bite the bullet, and I kind of use it as like, almost like, when you get to the point where they've got like their gun across their Aquila, for example, there is no point, like the biggest tip that I found, there is no point in trying to make that Aquila look fantastic because half of it's going to be covered. You know what I mean? And even if you're going to, because you fall into that trap as well. If you sub-assemble it, you think, oh yeah, great, I can easily access that Aquila. You put all that effort into making that, gold, whatever color, or whatever color it is that you're painting that Aquila, and then you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, you completely forgot that it's going to be, nobody's going to see the damn thing. So I'm thinking, I might as well build the whole model, arms and all, on the model, and then then touch the bits up of the Aquila round the arm that is going to be visible to the eye.
Which is the way I do it. Like, I will slap a base coat colour on it.
Yeah.
Stick it all together and then work on the bits that stick out. Yeah, because as you say, there is no point in doing it all 100% all nice and shiny. But then also, if you're thinking with respect to like light sources and stuff, if you've got something across there's going to be natural shadows under there. So the colour's going to look that little bit darker. So fuck it.
Yeah,
I think it's the same. We think about it in exactly the same way, but do different methods.
Yeah,
it kind of brings us back to full circle from where we started. Like, do you paint the inside of a rhino if nobody's going to see it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like when if you have Eldar and you put the glass, you put the plastic canopy. Yeah. Are you gonna be? But then you paint, because I know some people paint the glass canopy, don't they? And you're like, are you? But then if you've put the canopy on before you've painted it, you think, well, that was a little bit silly of you now.
Yeah, it is that inside screen of all the vehicles that got all the nice little TVs and buttons and all of that. I remember the one tank I ever painted. I looked at it and was like, fuck it, stuck it in there, didn't care. What's the point?
Exactly.
Right, guys, I think that's probably a good way to end how we started.
It is.
As Kylo Ren said, I will finish what you started. And he never actually did anything. He died and then gave himself up. Chrissie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Is there anything that anybody you would like to plug or shout out to? Now is your time to shout.
No, just, thank you very much. I've not really got, shout out to everybody who follows me. Thank you very much. I've had a couple of notifications come up on my screen whilst we've been on the live, so I appreciate the follows there, guys. So thank you very much. You know, and yeah, you know, I thank you very much for the time that you've given me this evening.
Oh wait, I definitely think we would probably have you back on at a later date.
No,
Maybe when you hit retirement age in about 2 or 3 years' time, bring you back on, see how retirement's
thanks.
suiting you.
Thanks. I know. Just for the record, I am not 60. You know.
No, she's
No.
59.
I'm not 59. Oh my god.
Casey, any words of wisdom from yourself this week?
I don't have words of wisdom as such, but I will do a little plug. I haven't promoted it for a little while because I've been a bit lazy. I am in the middle of a charity campaign for the Cystic Fibrosis Trust. I will put a little story up later on tonight. I am meant to walk. I am meant to walk 11,000 steps a day every day for the entire month of February, which is about 308,000 in total. I'm about 70% of the way through it. And if anyone wants to just chuck us a fiver, I am more than happy. You know, you don't have to say anything. Just message me and say, keep going, you weird bastard. That's support enough. It is part of a greater charity thing that me and my mates do for both CF Trust and Macmillan Cancer Research. And I will be doing another event later on in the year with them for that. And I will actually put it on here because it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Remind me, because I meant to send you money last week.
No rush. It's up until the 28th of February. So, yeah, don't sponsor me till you know I've done it. You know, that way it's fine.
No
I fall
worries.
short. You'll be like, I'm not sponsoring you, you fucking waste man. Which is also fair.
Yeah. Folks, that is us for this week. We have the Horned Rat next week, if that's the name properly. Next week, as I had to reschedule. If you haven't followed her already, follow her. She will be tagged again because she's 57. And we will be uploading this on YouTube. Remember, folks, orange brushes for 10% off, put in Inquisition, all in capital letters. And have a great rest of your Wednesday, folks. And hopefully the UK curling team can get into the semi-finals.
And don't forget, give your bases a good rim.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.